Hello, everybody, and welcome to Health Confidential with Simone Gisondi, the podcast where the secrets of the body meet the mysteries of healing. Each week, I explore the powerful world of holistic medicine, blending ancient wisdom and cutting edge science, conventional insight, and unconventional truths to decode some of the toughest cases and the most misunderstood conditions. I'm a certified holistic cancer therapies practitioner, a registered holistic nutritionist, and certified regenerative detoxification specialist. I am not a medical doctor. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The diagnosis and therapies discussed here may not be right for you. Please consult a qualified healthcare medical provider before making changes to your health. To learn more about my work or to experience the power of the custom-made healing protocols that I develop, designed specifically for your unique body, your unique biochemistry, your history, and your internal terrain, visit simonegisondi.com and book a private consultation with me. And if this episode speaks to you, follow me on Instagram at simone.gisondi and share this episode with someone you love. Thank you for listening. And welcome to today's episode of Health Confidential. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Health Confidential. You're in for a treat today because we're going to be talking about something that touches every single one of us. And it's a conversation about a dimension of health that I think is often very underestimated. And I'm sure you're going to agree with me once you hear everything we're going to be discussing today, me and my guest. And even though it touches every part of a person's life, we're often unaware about it, or we just kind of attribute it to something else, but it's actually financial stress we're going to be talking about today. So when people think about healing, they usually think about food, they think about hormones, they think about supplements, they think about detox, all the things I talk about most of the time, even emotional health, I think. But many people are actually living under a level of financial pressure, and I'm speaking from experience too over here, that keeps them in chronic stress, chronic fear, chronic uncertainty, and constant decision fatigue. And I want you to all know this absolutely affects our health and our body. Okay. And we're going to be going over how that happens and what you could do about it today. So financial stress can shape your sleep, anxiety, inflammation, relationships with other people. A lot of divorces happen because of money, FYI. It shapes energy, it shapes coping behaviors, and the person's ability to actually follow through on the things that they know would support their health. Now, I'm in Canada right now, but I did a lot of research, and in the United States especially, where medical debt and financial instability can become deeply entangled, and they do, and they are, this is not just a money issue. So I want you to look at it through a different lens. It's actually a human issue, and very often, and more often than not, a health issue. So today, I'm joined by someone whose expertise is in credit repair, financial recovery, and helping people regain stability. She has been on my show before. You guys have met her, the one and only Mika Altidor, the femme fatale and entrepreneur extraordinaire with a cafe in the beautiful Florida and products on the Amazon Marketplace. So she's going to talk to us about those. She could tell you exactly how to get your hands on them. But one of the most important things that she does is credit repair. I was part of one of the master classes that she actually did on this very topic, and it blew my mind on so many levels. So this is in part why I wanted to have her on the show, because I really want her to spread this information to help you guys out. So what we're going to explore today in the conversation is not only how you can begin fixing your credit and improving your financial situation, but also we'll touch on how the financial stress quietly impacts your health so you can actually make those connections, and what real practical first steps you can make from being in sense of panic to a sense of power. So, Mika, welcome back to my show.
Thank you, Simone, for having me. I'm really honored to be back and excited because you and I both know we love talking about business, entrepreneurship, and we can't talk about those two things without talking about finances and money.
Yes.
And how money affects us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't even understand how financial pressure, debt, damaged credit, even prolonged money insecurity can actually dysregulate a person's life, and not just their life, but their nervous system, their decisions, health, and even the body's healing capacity. I think people don't understand how those two are connected, but they are. And I think that a lot of people, I mean, I remember I saw this one thing on Instagram one time and it was just so, so sad. It was a post from a family member of a man who ended his life because he was under so much debt and he just didn't know what to do. And he ended
It's
his life.
sad.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
sad. He had young kids. So, and of course, this went viral on Instagram and a lot of people were commenting. So I think it's so important that we address these things because a lot of people don't understand how money stress is a health issue and it affects our mental health, but also our physical health. So I wanted to start this conversation with why financial stress deserves to be talked about as a health issue, because oftentimes people just talk about financial stress and money and that's it.
That's
But
it.
this is such a health issue, not just a money issue. So financial stress, I think, and I really want the audience to understand this, deserves to be talked about as a health issue first and foremost, because the body keeps the score. For those of you that have read the book, Body Keeps the Score, and I highly suggest you do, it keeps the score of pressure and pressure from even in emotional situations where we are in relationships with people, a significant other. When there is that pressure to be what you're not, that's pressure. The body actually records that. And when it comes to money, it's exactly the same. There's a pressure to be able to keep up, to make money, to have a certain image to the world. So a person living under ongoing financial fear is always living in a state of chronic uncertainty, chronic vigilance, survival. And the reason why I said earlier that I'm coming from a place of experience is because when my parents, and I was about 19 at the time, when my parents divorced, I remember my father actually intentionally closed bank accounts that he was the primary on and my mother was the secondary, and closed credit cards and left us literally penniless. Closed the accounts so my mom had access to no money. So of course you go into that survival mode. And that affects more than just a bank account, of course. It affects the nervous system because my mom was now left with two kids and she was probably like, how am I going to feed these kids? It affects your sleep. You're up at night thinking about how am I going to pay the bills? It affects your mood because when you're thinking and you're in survival mode, you're not going to be warm and open and kind and, pleasant. It affects inflammation in the body. It affects the way we make choices, and oftentimes we're forced to make choices we may not necessarily want to make or would make if we had money in our bank accounts. It affects our relationships because we show up full of fear and we don't show up fully showing ourselves because we're just afraid that we're going to be judged or not liked because we are poor, let's say. And it affects the ability to implement healing because the body's still in that survival mode. So to me, that's very much a health conversation because you cannot separate the healing from the condition that the person is living under. And financial stress is one of the most powerful chronic stressors that a lot of people carry. So I wanted to know from your side of the work, Mika, what do you see happen to people when they live in this prolonged financial instability?
No, those are really great points you mentioned, Simone. They're very similar to everything that I'm going to be covering in
Yeah.
our interview today. And when I see people, to answer your question, when they by the time they come to me, I notice a pattern first. I do see these clients like they've got like I see them they're on stages talking. So my clients, they speak in TED talks. They're on stages. They're authors. They have books. They have these are entrepreneurs. They have businesses, and when they come to me, and they're what I see on their statements, like their money situation and their credit situation, is the opposite of what of the gifts that they share with us in the world.
Yeah.
It's such a contrast. And like you said, people try to keep up with an image and with business.
Mm-hmm.
You pay for your own flights. So there's flights that you pay for.
Yeah.
You pay editors to edit your books. There's different things. There's so many different things that are going on behind the scenes that this entrepreneur has to finance and invest in themselves.
Yeah.
So they believe in themselves enough for their talent and the gifts that they're sharing with you and I and sharing with the world. And they still have a a story that they learned from their parents from childhood, irrelevant of how old they are right now in their adult life. They have a story and a narrative that keeps them in a state of lack. So they're making money, but they're spending it. They're showing, and you do need to invest in yourself as an entrepreneur. But at the same time, they're operating from old tools, old information that was passed down to them from their parents
Yeah.
and not new insights from, a modern state of mind from a professional that can help them leverage the new money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it reminds me of this Bible verse. It's like where Jesus says you can't put in new wine in old wineskins because the old wineskins are gonna burst.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's the thing that comes to mind. And forgive me if anyone is like not religious, but it still makes sense. Even if you're not religious, if
Very
you're in the
true.
wine industry, it makes it makes sense. So think of it like that and from the wine perspective. So by the time they come to me, it's like there's already it's a serious issue, Simone. So it's not something that they're like, oh, I just noticed this issue. It's already been going on for years and years and years, And so by the time I see it and I offer solutions, they've already, their story that they've learned from childhood, it is something that they kind of hold up to me and go, yeah, but this, I have to wait till I book this client to be able to begin to fix my situation, whether it's working with you, Mika, or with anyone else. And then this story, and it's already been like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months since I last spoke with this client. And this is like a trend. And so their finances and their situation has not improved. And so there's this gap. It's just going this persona that we present to the world, and then our situation, like you just mentioned so beautifully, how it's connected to our nervous system. So we're living
That's
with our nervous system, Simone, every single day. We
that's
wake
right. It's
up
part
with
of
it,
us. Yeah.
right? We eat with it. We breathe with it. We sleep with it.
We make
We
money with it.
we make money with it. And so if we're in chronic stress over finances, even if, and I know people that are like, I'm the most chill person, I don't get stressed. I get that. However, what you may not show outwardly, your body, like you mentioned in the book, the body keeps a score.
Very much
Even
so.
the coolest person, like you may seem like as cool as a cucumber, but your body is showing like stress. There are some people, not everyone, but there are some people, they're showing stress signals. Like if you were to hook them up to a machine and
That's right.
relaxed, and the machine will be marking or showing markers as someone who is chronically stressed, like right now. And you'll tell this person, look at what's going on. This is what it's showing. And how do you feel? And the person's like, I'm relaxed. I'm okay. But the doctor goes, or the person reading the machine goes, you're showing the same signs as someone who's in hypervigilance. Like you're showing signs of someone that is really on high alert,
That's
as
right.
if there's a threat, but you're sitting on this table all relaxed.
That's right.
So so when we enter this chronic stress, it dysregulates the nervous system, the very thing that we use for our survival, the very mechanism that we use for every aspect of our life. And money, if we are concerned about the increased gas prices, If we're concerned that membership, the subscription that we just signed up for Prime has gone up $1, if we're reacting to that, if we're reacting to our favorite coffee shop, their price on has just increased by 75 cents for your usual cup of coffee. We're reacting to every single thing related to money. How could it not impact our nervous
Of
system?
course, of course. I mean,
And what,
under constant money pressure, people don't even become their clearest, wisest selves anymore.
no,
Like when you become
no.
stressed, exhausted, reactive, overwhelmed, I think I also want people to know you could go and actually research this, particularly in the United States. The CDC, the WHO, those all have a lot of information on the correlation between financial stressors and health. And to your point, Mika, I think emotionally, what I've seen, especially with the people that I work with in the health realm, I see that they have, because they talk to me about the fact that like, oh, I'm so stressed because of this. Because I often ask them, is there stress from relationships? Is there stress from anything in your life? And a lot of times, financial stress is actually at the top. And many times, like I think relationships and financial stress are intertwined. But
They
emotionally,
are.
people show up with fear, with shame, helplessness, dread,
Mm-hmm.
exhaustion. A lot of people become avoidant, and I think you touched on this on your masterclass when you did this. They stop opening bills to face the numbers, which is
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually like I'm guilty of that too, because oftentimes I'm like I'm
I
just
have
gonna
been
make the
too.
payment. Yep,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to see it because I know that it's gonna, I know how my body reacts when I see the numbers. So instead of going through that feeling of the reaction, I'd rather just not look at it to avoid feeling that
Mm-hmm.
feeling, right? So some people
Understandable.
freeze, yeah, because the
Yeah, we
stress is
freeze.
heavy.
Yeah.
I think other people probably become frantic and start making rush decisions to get temporary relief, which kind of
Mm-hmm.
hooks us into a, like, especially like people who smoke or drink. If that's what gives you relief, you're going to spend the money to bring on the relief, but you're spending the money that's going to bring in the thing you're going to want relief from again.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all connected.
Yeah.
With the survival mode, the body prioritizes protection over healing, to
That's
what
right.
you're just saying. And so, and what you mentioned earlier, where we don't think clearly, we don't make the best decisions when we're in survival mode, when we are, at a restaurant or at even a fast food chain. We're like, 99-cent special,
Exactly.
or
That
that more
$10.99
premium meal.
salad.
Right, the salad that's going to have the delicious protein and fresh organic veggies. It's like, I'll do the 99 cents,
And all the
burger
nutrients are
that,
gone. Yeah.
yeah, and it will that cost that company a cent to make, maybe less than that. And so, money stress is, like you mentioned, is one of the most chronic stressors,
Yes.
and it does affect your relationships, not just your romantic relationships. It will also affect your friendships because,
That's so true.
or right, because if like you're not gonna be inclined to accept an invitation, like if your friends are getting married and like we want you to be a bridesmaid, and look at this, if it's a bride and a bride
So
is
true.
concerned about finances and money, and it's already in survival mode for every single cent that they're paying. So she's not in process of enjoying this beautiful
So true.
moment and this process of selecting the dress, selecting the venue, and enjoying this with the family and the friends, and organizing the wine list or the seating list, and the hors d'oeuvres and all these different things. Instead, they're stressed about money, so they're like, no, let's pass on the cost for the dress onto the bridesmaids, and then they have to pay for their dresses because I'm not paying for the dresses. They have to pay for their own dresses, and that energy. Now you pass that on to your bridesmaids, and you don't know what they're going through. Like they may not feel inclined to tell you that they're they're suffering right now on money. So you pass on a cost to them, And now there's just energy. Now you carry that energy into this this connection that you have with them.
Yeah, to the friendship.
As yes, into the friendship. I've heard so many
So
stories
true.
where brides are not friends with their bridesmaids. And I've heard it from both sides where the bridesmaids are like, she was a bridezilla
Yes.
on this and this and that. A lot of times it's about money. If money wasn't an issue, I bet she would not have been a bridezilla. And then I've heard it from the bride side where bride said, I had to do everything. I remember a good client of ours, and she a bride, she asked her bridesmaids to help her with the florals, like doing the florals for the tables and the venues and all these different things. And she said, and I had to do them all by myself. No one would help me. No one would do this and do that. Okay, let's look at it from a different perspective, a different lens. So then this has affected your relationship with them. So if you had the income, if you had the comfort of paying someone else to do it, you would not hold them obligated.
Yeah.
You would not hold them responsible. So now you feel victimized by their decision, like they're busy in their lives. And I'm not saying that, I'm not excusing them, but if we've chosen these people to walk in our wedding, the most sacred day that we feel to us, and then they are not able, out of the 13, not one of them is able to be there for us to help with these arrangements, why are we holding them accountable? Why aren't we paying the florist to do this?
Yeah.
If we're gonna hold $200, we're gonna save $200 and not pay the florist to do these arrangements for the tables and for different parts of the venue. We're passing it on to our family. So if we're choosing to not, if some wanting to say this, if it's the florist's income, this is their livelihood, this is their business, this is their job. If we're withholding that to them, and we're like, we're not going to give it to them. And then so we're in that lack perspective. We're withholding it from someone that this is their job, this is their profession. And we're going to pass it on for free. So now we're expecting something for nothing. We're
Yeah.
expecting, your friends who are probably working two jobs, or they have one job and they're working a lot of hours at this job, or they're back to school while working a job because you've gone to school and gone to work at the same time. Would that have been a good time, Simone, for a friend to say, Simone, be in my wedding and you're going to pay for your own dress. And also I need you to do the florals. So if you could just, after, spend like 2 hours a week to help me with doing these florals for the wedding. Would you have had the bandwidth and the time to do that if you're because you remember that time that you remember that time that you were in where you were going back to school
Yeah.
for psych.
But I also want to say it's not just that, but I know that in a lot of traditions, there's an expectation that you give a gift to the couple. So there's that in the back of your mind. There's also that, okay, and I also have to give, and I have to be generous because they're my friends. So just
Mm-hmm.
imagine when you're kind of mentally doing the math to add all of the expenditures. So the dress, the time of the florals, and whatever else you're going to help your friend do and make. The gifts, oftentimes the gifts that you hand out to your guests, plus obviously hair, makeup for the girls, nails, the whole shebang, as well as giving them a gift. And of course, there's shoes, and I mean, there's just so much. It really adds up because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've
It
been there,
adds
so I
up.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually, so that definitely speaks to the pressure under which the entire system in a person's life. So it's not just like within you, your body, but it kind of just goes outwards towards
Yes.
the rest of the things that we have to
Yeah.
contend with.
Yeah.
And I really want people, like, I really go ahead and go to the CDC website and just look at stress and health. And stress, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. Stress is stress. The body just knows, like, I'm in survival mode. Go to the US National Institute of Mental Health and look up chronic stress effects. Go to
Mm-hmm.
the WHO and look at the social determinants of health, you will see all of this. It's like um, the common thread that weaves through all of these things related to health. And I really want people to
Exactly.
understand. And what a perfect example you gave when it comes to those kind of important events in our life, and they are sacred, but because they are tied to money, and when
Mm-hmm.
people live in those, and we always know, like, if, let's say, you are in a stable two income relationship, and then afterwards that relationship breaks down, oftentimes because of money itself, and then all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden now you have to shoulder all of the expenses of life on one income. And oftentimes right now in today's world, to the point that you made about the rising prices of gas and the rising prices of food, the rising prices of our everyday things that we enjoy, even like coffee, all those things adding up are going to put stress on a relationship, because all of a sudden you're like, we have to adjust, and the other person, it creates that imbalance in, I make less, you make more, we both have to adjust. I don't feel like it's fair to me, and all of that. And then eventually the person that ends up having to shoulder all of the life expenditures on their own, imagine the stress that kind of comes on, whether you know whether you're going to be
Exactly.
able to make your payments at the end of the month. But I really wanted to I wanted to let the audience know about you and your story. How did you get into this work in the first place, Mika? Was there a personal catalyst that brought you there? Did you just see a gap in what people understood about credit and financial recovery, and you decided to just say, like, I'm going to address this gap because I know? And what made it feel meaningful to you as work?
Yes. Wow. Yeah. You always have great questions. Yeah. So, Simone, um, I want to say this is a personal story for me because
Mm-hmm.
I did have poor credit at one time. I was in the 630s, and that's considered fair credit,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that I was 636. I didn't know I was 4 points away from having, well, more than that, because 670 is considered good credit. And so,
And if I may interject, Mika, the numbers for those of you that don't know, those are credit score numbers. So
yeah.
somebody's credit health is dependent on a number that's assigned based on the behavior, your financial behavior, how often you pay your bills, if you pay them on time, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're responsible with the money that's lent to you via credit cards, loans, lines of credit, and such. And the higher the number, the healthier you are in the
Mm-hmm.
name of credit. And the lower you are, obviously, the more sick you are. Let's call it that. So what Mika
Yeah.
was talking about was that she was somewhere at the sort of fair, good, not necessarily excellent or great, but not necessarily poor or really bad. So you were at that mid range.
Yes, yeah, I was. And I didn't know had I had the knowledge, Simone, I would have. I went to a car dealership because the vehicle I had broken down. I didn't put oil in it, and so the motor was gone. I'm like, okay, time to get a new vehicle
Mhm.
replaced. I went to the dealership without any knowledge of credits and everything else. And so I got a predatory offer from a well established dealership in South Florida and Fort Lauderdale. And so I got approved. But like I said, it was a predatory loan offer. So they put me in a brand new vehicle instead of a vehicle that was a few years older, like I requested. They said, well, this is what, so that banks, because they're managing risk, they're already calculating in case she misses payments, then a brand new vehicle will have, there's going to have a better resale value to
Ah,
resell if it needs to be repossessed. So
wow.
that's how they
That is,
calculate. So that's why they put you in a newer vehicle instead of, because I'm thinking, okay, if I get a $10,000 vehicle, Simone, I can pay that off in the next 3 years, 4 years. But with the banks, they're litigating risk. So they're not going to want to put you in a vehicle. They're least likely to put you in that. They'd rather put you in a brand new one that there's going to
Wow.
have a longer, yeah, so a newer value in case there you default on your
I'm
car notes.
sorry to
So
interrupt again, but I'm so glad that you said that because
you're
this is,
welcome. I learned that
yes.
lesson. I learned that lesson just from me and
God,
you.
I mean, you know what? People need to understand um, the psychology behind, like, every institution, every company out there is looking out for themselves. We all know this.
Yeah,
They
they're
don't even,
managing risk.
that's right. They're not negotiating with you, and they expect you to come to the table with the knowledge of where you're at and to be able to afford, and they
Which
push
is
you.
no knowledge. They
And
expect you to
oftentimes,
not know.
yeah, most people don't because we're not educated on money in school or anywhere. The onus is on us amid the very busy lives that we have when we talk about having jobs that take us away from our families for 8 hours a day. And then we also have, let's say, families that we have to help, especially the sandwich generation, people that have to be um, responsible for kids and a household, and then elderly parents that need help as well. And so you don't have time to learn about the monetary aspect of it. So thank you for bringing that forward. And I also want you
You're
to
welcome.
explain to people predatory, because you use that term. So predatory offers or predatory deals that they make, especially in obviously the car industry.
Hmm.
Explain what that is. I understand it, but I want the audience to know what you're referring to when you say that.
Okay, that's a good question because it's something that I did not know. I learned a very hard way, Simone. But it's okay. I mean, it wasn't a fun lesson by any means, but without that, I wouldn't be where I am now. A predatory offer. So there's going to be a fair offer. Like for example, let's say you list an item on Facebook Marketplace, Simone. You list a beautiful vase that you're like, I'll just list it for $20, and you feel like that's fair for you. You're like, oh, I don't. It doesn't go with my decor anymore. I'm changing decor, and it still has a lot of value. It has good value. I'll list it for $20, and then other people are on Facebook Marketplace. They see the vase. Someone messages you, Simone, and says, "Hey, I see this vase. Is it available?" You say, "Yes, it's available." The person says, "Okay, I like to pick it up and take that offer." That is a fair offer. That is something that's mutually in alignment with you and the buyer.
Yeah.
So a predatory offer, a predatory situation looks like where someone goes. We talked about this on our last
On the master
podcast.
class,
On
yes.
our We talked about this on your show, Sheila G. So now
Yes.
predatory would be like if someone who Sheila G. So Simone, do you want to tell people listening what Sheila G is? And then I'll go into my
So it's
story.
yeah, so it's a health, it's become really big in the supplement world. It's a resin that contains a lot of nutrients, especially minerals, which are very beneficial for our health. And when it was brought to market, of course, it was the it thing. And in the health industry, there are these trends that kind of come and go. And you all remember there was a time when quinoa was the it thing, and now Shilajit and
Sheila
CBD
G.
oil, and now Shilajit is
Yeah,
the it thing.
it's the
And
it
that is
thing.
not to take away from its benefits, but there are people who will actually be predatory with the pricing because they're going to try
So
to take advantage of people by pricing it very high.
yeah, that's one example. Another example with what Sheila G is. It is a predatory pricing that you're mentioning. So them going, well, because this is worth its value. Let's say $34 for 2 ounce or 1 ounce jar, but they're like, we're gonna charge some people $72
Yes,
on this.
I've seen
Or
this.
another example for predatory would be it's I think that's the closest example. I'm just thinking off the top of my
Another
head.
example
Predator.
would be
Go
like
ahead.
making counterfeit things and selling them as if they are originals. I was actually on the receiving end of that when I was living in the United States. I had this one particular thing that I bought for my hair, and I was so used to it, like its texture and everything when I was using it. And I remember I
Mm-hmm.
received it, I start using it, and I'm like, huh, my hair doesn't feel the same after I've used it. And it doesn't feel the same to my hand when I'm actually taking it out of the container to put it on my hair. And lo and behold, it was actually like when I dug deeper, I did see that this company was actually selling a lot of counterfeit stuff, but they were selling it
Oh,
at the price that the actual original product was being sold at. So that happens a lot. And I don't think Amazon has a lot of things in place to actually for quality control. So
mm-hmm.
there's that. There's also that. So the
There's
pricing as well
that.
as the counterfeit.
Yeah. Those are all examples of predatory. Um, One more that I was thinking of. I was at a car rental. I was getting a car rental one day, and all the cars, for all of a sudden, I had already made a reservation. They're all booked. And there was this one car rental company that did have a few vehicles available. And so they gave, of course, marked up value for that day. And I said, okay. And then, it's basically when you take advantage of
Yeah.
someone, you take advantage of a situation, knowing that this person is of a certain credit bracket or financial bracket, and when you have good credit, when you have excellent or good credit, you have these favorable interest rates, very favorable. Like you can get 0% APR for some cars or 2% APR on cars. So there's these great offers. Predatory is where someone with a 636 credit score and they're only, I don't know, 630, so 36 minus 70. So they're like 43 or 30. I'm not great with math, so you're like 30 some points away
Points,
from a good credit score.
which would be like a
So
700 or so, or
yeah,
even
yeah, 670.
690,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So then instead of telling that person, hey, go work on this and then come back and it will we'll give you a more favorable rate. It's like, guys, we got one. She's right here. 636 credit score. Simone, 28% interest.
Lord have mercy. I thought you were going to say
I
something
knew
like 12, from 2 to
tw
12.
28%
Wow,
interest. I didn't know any better. I
wow,
thought
wow.
I assumed, so this is a thing that you and I were talking about earlier about how survival mode when you're concerned about finances and you don't have a car and your credit score they just told you is 636, you're concerned that you're not going to get approved for any vehicle, so you're not going to make the best decision. So what do, Simone? You go ahead and accept that offer. You think, well, this is probably the best. Oh, and I get a new vehicle. I'm going to have a new vehicle. Okay. And so you accept the offer. I contacted them like 2 days later and I said, I thought about this. I think I want to bring this vehicle back because I was told that someone told me I had buyer's remorse period 3 days.
Yep.
And this gentleman got on the phone with a very firm voice and told me there was no such thing. I didn't contest it. I accepted it. I should have. I should have returned the vehicle. So I was paying that interest. So I was paying about $1,000 a month to drive a vehicle,
Oh my God,
where
Mika.
all I needed to do was pay what, like 400 a month?
Oh my God.
400. So I'm paying an additional $600 a month
More than twice
to
as much.
drive. Yes. And also, so basically, I'm paying for more than a car's worth. So it's a terminology. It's called upside down, where the value of the car and your interest, Simone, and the price ticket for the car is more than the actual value of the car. So
It
even if
hurts
you
me to
wanted to
even listen
sell,
to this, Mika. It hurts me to
I
listen
know
to this.
this is the reality that I lived, and this is why those of you that are listening, please take heed into this because if you're concerned about money, 8 times out of 10, you're not going to be making the best financial decisions. Even when it comes to grocery shopping, you're going to be looking at the romaine lettuce and going, organic, not organic, $3 difference. Let me get the non.
That's right.
You're making decisions that from a place of survival and not a place of just a regulated nervous system. So you asked me, Simone, how did I get into this? Why did I get into this? Because this story is not just my story, Simone. This is so many other people's story. And it's predatory. This is where someone is taken advantage of and it's legally supported, it's backed. And it's because we as the consumer are not informed. So if we know of what our credit score is, then we're able to negotiate better. And if someone tries to tell us 28%, we're going to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to just go back home. I'll continue to Uber. I'll continue to do whatever I have to do. I'll continue carpooling. I'll take the bus. I'll take the metro, whatever. I'll raise up my credit score another 33, whatever points or 20 points, whatever it needs to get to 670, which is considered a good credit score. So I can get into a 15% interest rate vehicle, or whatever the case is. So you get to make healthier choices. So I made that decision. I was in that vehicle for 3 years. It took 3 years to where I would not be upside down anymore. And then from there,
It's crazy.
it, it is
I
crazy.
mean,
And
it
then
hurts me, Mika. It hurts me to hear this. I mean, the how this is not criminal is
it's predatory. It's
blowing
legal.
my.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's sad. It's sad that, and then, for me, a single woman, so I don't have any dependents or anything like that. So it's sad that this story, it impacts a lot of other people. Thankfully, I was in a position to where I was able to maintain paying my vehicle every single month on time and paying the full coverage. So when you have a finance vehicle, you're not able to get the lesser insurance coverage. You have to get the full insurance
Oh
coverage.
my God.
So that's another $300 or more. So yeah, about $300 because I had a clean record, no points deducted. So, but if someone has points deducted, then you're looking at, I know people that are paying $500 on insurance. And by the way, your credit score is linked to your auto insurance. So the
Oh my
better your
God.
credit score, the better rates you get on auto insurance. The poorer the credit score, then the higher you pay in auto and for insurance auto. So so I felt victimized, yes. I felt taken advantage of, yes. This was really unfortunate. Like, and this is years. This isn't just a few months. Thankfully, Simone, I was able to take care of these obligations. I was able to maintain my commitment and maintain that good balance of a credit score. There's other people that they're forced to like they get their vehicles are repossessed, so because they're not able to maintain
The
the
payments.
agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not able to maintain. So that happened to me. So, and here I am, I'm still with credit score that's in that same range 636, 640, 660, still never good because that energy, I still had this energy of survival. So it kept me in
Yeah.
this range of not good, not poor, but not good. It was just like right there. And so, and then when it's time for me to open my vegan cafe, and for those of you that are interested in that story, check out Simone's other episode that I was on with Burnout, and you can hear that story
That's
of the
right.
cafe. I remember, so I'm laughing because it wasn't funny then, but
It's
it's
funny
funny
now.
now.
Yeah.
It's funny now. So, and this is before education, and I'm so glad I have the knowledge now. So the things that I share with you and everyone in our credit master class is from the education that I paid and I invested in myself in.
Yeah.
But 4.5 years ago, when I was at the bank. I was at Chase, which was my bank at the time, and I'm in my uniform. I'm in my chef's uniform, and I'm asking for a loan. And had I known then what I know now, I would never have asked. I would have increased my credit score. I would have made some other changes, increased my value in front of the bank's eyes, for a loan approval. So I'm having, asking a bank for a loan approval without any knowledge, any insight. And so I'm there, and I don't know what my credit score was at that time. It may have been in that same range, 660 or 650, that range. And so the loan was denied. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, how could you? And I'm saying to myself, I didn't say it to him, but I'm like, how could I be denied? Like, this is my bank. My deposits for my cash flow for my customers, like, it goes into this bank. I This is my bank, and I have a relationship with you. How could I be denied? And I'm asking for a business loan. I needed that loan at that time, Simone. I needed that for the cafe. And so I was denied. That stung. That hurt. And so I said, okay, what does a girl got to do to get some approvals around here? And so, and so, um, when you're denied, you feel rejected. It's like this big stamp that says, you're not good enough. You're rejected. And it's like,
That's
what?
right.
Why? I'm a good person.
That's right.
I don't do any harm to anyone. I never ask anyone for anything. Why am I being rejected? So I decided to educate myself, pay for classes. So I paid for credit master classes and about financial literacy.
Yeah.
So I invested in myself while scared, while frightened, and while feeling like, man, do I really have to pay this much? I did it anyway. I invested in myself anyway. I got the education I needed. And so that's that reciprocal value, that's that fair value where you're giving and receiving an equivalent, something in, you're in alignment, so something equivalent to that. And I did. So when I got educated, and I was taking classes after work, and so after work, taking classes, going to bed 9, 10, and waking up 3 a.m. the next day, taking classes, getting educated. And when I did, I was so shocked, Simone. So you asked me why, what led me to what I'm doing now is from my own experience of being on a short end of the stick.
I'm still
And
trying to get. I'm so shocked. I'm like at a loss for words. Everything that you just said. I mean, the because I'm learning through this, and I did your master class already, but the I had no idea that they actually force people's hands into vehicles that are newer, not because they, and of course I'm sure they psychologically they position it like, don't you want, because they appeal to your emotions, and I'm going to come back to the point of emotions. But they appeal to your emotions to make you feel how it's the transformation of how you're going to feel if you drive this newer vehicle. And they probably say that, well, you're not going to have to worry about it because it's newer, therefore it's not going to break down as quickly. And you're not going to have to worry about, repair costs and all of that. But at the end of the day, they're actually doing it with the thought of, if she defaults and we have to repossess this, we want to be able to make sure we make good money. Not so much that, they're actually worried about whether you're going to be able to repair it or not, afford it or not, or any of that. They are actually putting it through a filter that is for their companies benefit.
Yeah.
And what I was talking about emotion is just based on what you were just saying right now when you went to Chase, and because I feel the same. I feel so, especially because we invest in the bank and we all have to pay monthly fees to have our bank accounts, and they have all the instruments that they make money off of us, obviously through the interests, which I think should be criminal, even that in and of itself. The fact that they just take so much money from people just for the mere fact. Um, and I remember how I was so offended. They are operating from a place of hard, cold truths and hard, cold rules, no emotions, no feelings. These
And
are
we
the
don't know the
rules.
game. We're players in
That's
this game,
right.
Simone. Like there's this game that we don't know. The consumer, Simone,
Yes.
does not
Yes.
know, and you are a player in this game. Even if you pay, like I told you all in the last the third part of the master class, the final part, is that even if someone pays cash for everything, you're like,
Yeah.
why buy my vehicle cash? So some of you listening could say, why buy my house? I bought my house cash, or it was given to me, or my vehicle is paid for with cash. I buy everything with cash, or the vehicle is given to me. Like I don't use credit. I don't use credit for anything. Okay, you can say that, and that is your reality. Excuse me, but there is another reality. There's a reality of, excuse me, let me get some water.
Actually, while you do that, I'm going to tell people, and I'd love to hear your take on it. So when I bought my last vehicle, so my older one, typically people trade in. I didn't. What I did is I gave my older car to my son because he was looking to buy a car. So I said, "Here, take this," because I could have traded it in. But as you know, most car dealerships will obviously completely lowball and undervalue your car, irrespective of how you see it and how great it is and its longevity. They play by certain parameters and numbers. And when I went to buy my car, and I bought mine in cash, I wanted to be upfront about that. When I looked at the numbers based on, they said you could put X amount down and then we could finance the rest, or you could finance the whole thing. Had I financed that car and kept the money in my pocket, the interest rate would have cost me over the period of the loan term $10,000 more. So I would have
Mm,
been paying, you don't feel it in the moment because it's like in smaller bits, smaller amounts. And they do this with mortgages for homes. When they say, well, why don't you just buy like one that's $50,000 more because it's just an extra $2 on your mortgage. But on the, like when you look at the hard number, in the long run, yeah, so this car would have cost me an additional $10,000. And I thought, no, I'd rather pay you upfront all the money. I'll use my credit in other ways, of course, because I pay my bills on credit and all of that, and then I pay the credit card. But the $10,000, when it stared me in the face, I was like, oh hell no, no thank you. Like what can I do with $10,000? So yeah, so I really want people to understand, and there's such a piece of dignity that's tied to that, because what you said, Mika, about when you went to Chase, I feel that with my bank, because I think to myself, hold on a second, people like me and my counterparts, the consumers or whatever, clients or whatever you call us, whatever the banks call us, we pay for you to exist. Every
mm-hmm,
single day, you have a million, let's say, and I'm just pulling this number out of a hat. You have a million consumers or clients or customers, and each one of those clients or customers pays $15 per month for one account, and oftentimes we have more than one. I know I have about three with my bank. So 15 times 50, and most of them are not the same. $15, and of course, it used to be $10 back in the day, and then slowly it's like, as of this date, we're changing our price, and what can you do? Nothing, because you need a bank account. And they raise their prices. So imagine everybody collectively pays this $15, and it varies. So I'm just giving this number as an example. So all the millions of dollars that they make, and I'm talking about, like, obviously, like in Canada, let's say the top 5 banks in Canada. All of those take from collectively the millions of people that are here. So all of that money goes towards them being able to, and trust me, they're not hurting. Have you, if, for those of you that want to know, go Google how much the CEO of a bank makes yearly. It's in the millions. So they're not hurting for money. And they're not hurting for money because of what they take from us. So
Mm-hmm.
I was very offended because I thought, how dare you do what you're doing to me when you exist because of people like me? So there's just such a piece of dignity that's tied to it. So
Mm-hmm.
at what point do people realize, because at the end of the day, even people that work at a bank, they're human beings, and we're all, there should be a level of morality and ethics that has to come into play. Because at what point do you realize that this work isn't just about numbers, it's about people's lives, about their stress levels, about their health? Because if you think about it, even for the banks, it's in your best interest not to stress out your customers that they end up getting sick and end up not being able to work and then not be able to pay you your $15 that you so desperately need. And you strip people of their dignity. So what do people lose when financial problems spiral beyond money? They lose their health, they lose their dignity, and it's incredibly difficult to come back from that. I mean, you did it, and you just right now touched on the incredible amount of determination that it took. You were going to bed at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you were waking up at 3 a.m. to be able to maintain your business and also educate yourself. And I know I did that too when I went through after my the stroke that I had. I was going to school. I was a single parent because I had just gotten divorced, and I was working a full-time job, and I was a mom to my very young children. So what does financially recovery restore besides credit? It restores people's dignity. It restores people's ability to show up differently in life and to reduce stress. So I want you to explain to people in plain terms, Mika, for someone who feels embarrassed. So we're going to go into the feelings aspect of it because it's a big one for people. And I'm speaking from my own experience. And even you said when you walked into Chase and you were asking them for a loan and how they treated you, and you're like, what? Wait. Well, for someone who feels embarrassed about, like when they hear the word credit, what is credit really in plain language? What, why does it matter beyond just borrowing money? And what do
Okay.
people misunderstand about it? Because I think people don't understand what credit really is. They just think it's free money.
Although I'm glad you asked. In the U.S. especially, and it's the same with in Canada. Like credit is a wealth tool. It's not
Uh-huh.
a debt trap like what people think. Like credit is not debt. Like credit for me, Simone, is access, and
Yes.
access is leverage. So with credit, when you have established credit, if you have this amazing idea to, let's say you have this amazing idea to buy a sibling, like like help them invest in their this idea they have for a gym membership, like a gym business, and you're like, they're this person so like so and so is so great, like they've got this amazing dream and they're awesome, and I've been helping them thus far, like doing this from home, and I could see them doing this in a storefront, like having an actual building now, helping clients doing this because we're already doing it from home. We've already got like 60, plus clients, and we're doing this like home base and we're doing it mobile. Now it's like, let's take it to the next level. And on top of that, like, I get a job when I help my sibling get this. So and so, I get a job. So this is a true story too with Walt Disney. Walt Disney, before he was Walt Disney, I love Walt Disney. I love his story. He was broke when he started. His brother Ron believed in him so much because the family, like their father, was like always telling Walt, like, "Why are you drawing? Like, why don't you just go out and get a real job?" And Walt, in his youth, at like 20 years old, was like, "No, this is what I believe in." I love this. And this is a time where there was already this in the cinemas, like where it was animated cartoons, no sound. It was popular to go to theaters. And so Walt was like, no, I can do this, you know? And his father was like, no, get a real job, get a real job. People kept telling him, get a real job. And so his brother, 8 years older, and so with that age gap, Ron Disney always kind of felt like more than a brother to Walt. Kind of felt like he was almost like a dad. Like this is like my kid, right? And so when Walt was about 20, Ron would have been about 28 years old. And so Ron was in the military. He was in the service. He got typhoid and had to be admitted. He got sick. And so Walt had started an animation studio and he failed. He closed in 3 months of opening. Again, he was in his early 20s, about 20, 21 years old. So he had his first big failure. This is around the same time that he created the Alice in Wonderland series. He created that. And so it had gained some traction and he wasn't able to finish. He was dirt poor. His brother Ron was already in California,
Wow.
and his uncle was already in California. So he decided to move. He had like, I think about like $40 in his pocket. He moved to California and he was trying to look for a job. He was getting rejected left and right, right and left. His brother Ron said, hey, why don't, he says, I'm going to back you. I'm going to invest in you and I'll also work for you. I'll do the numbers. This will be your business, but I will financially back you, support you because I believe in you. He had a woman, I, I know her name. Her name is just slipping me for the moment. She was New York based. Walt had sent her an unfinished copy of the Alice in Wonderland series. I believe her name was Margot. I'll look it up real quick. And so she, because it was a male dominated industry, she never said her full name. She went by initials. Like she went by initials because it was a male dominated industry. And she accepted to be the distributor for Walt Disney's Alice in Wonderland. And so this was the first time that Walt had a distributor for his cartoons where it would be played in theaters. He was in his early 20s, mind you. His brother believed in him and backed him. Walt also understood the power of credit. So he got the Walt Disney Production Studio. He got it built through credit. So for some of us that are like, I pay everything with cash. If I don't have cash, I don't buy it. There would be no Walt Disney. There would be no theme park. There would be no Mickey Mouse. There would be no Donald Duck. There would be no Goofy. There would be no Treasured Island live action series. There will be nothing without Walt Disney investing himself and understanding credit. How important is credit? Credit is leverage. Credit is leverage.
And wealth, as you said
And
earlier.
wealth, yes, and wealth. Some of us just didn't, you're part of this game, like I mentioned before, you just didn't know you're a player in this game. You just didn't know the rules. Just because you don't know the rules doesn't mean that it's a bad game. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that I'm never touching a credit card again. Cause Simone, oh my gosh, I just went into debt. I just went shopping and I bought all these things. And the credit card, it's the devil, Simone. And I had like $20,000 in credit card debt, or I had $100,000 in credit card debt. I am never touching another credit card as long as I live. I'm paying everything with cash. Okay. For the person that feels that way and is thinking that way, that was your experience. That was your experience without knowing what what credit actually is. If you have a $10,000 credit card, I would say to you, instead of, and you get this every single month you have a $10,000 credit card limit. I would say instead of buying those shoes, that handbag, that vacation, instead of buying those big screen TVs, that that puppy, that $2,000, you know, poodle, instead of and having that occur for the next month, I would say instead of looking at a credit card as that, I would suggest to you, why not look at it as a wealth building tool where if I have no job, let's say I have no job, I have no money, I have no nothing, but Simone, guess what?
You have an idea.
I have an 800 credit score, Simone, or I have a $750 credit score. And yes, I have an idea. Simone, with that $10,000 credit card, if I have like no money, I'm able to buy a vehicle off Facebook Marketplace. I can liquidate a card. Let's say someone's selling a car for $3,000. Like, let's say their kid is going off to the service, and let's say someone is in more need of $3,000 than they need this vehicle. So they're discounting this car greatly as a great running car. Simone, I can go and buy that car for $3,000 with my credit card. Remember, I have no money. Let's say I got laid off. I have no savings. I have no money, but I have a 750 credit score or 800 credit score or
I
a
literally
700 credit
I
score.
literally did that for my first child, for my son, when he bought his first car. He was young, obviously, so he didn't have credit yet. And if he was to have gone and like borrowed that money, it probably would have like just like ripped him apart with. So I,
Exactly.
yeah, so I bought it on my credit card because it was,
See, yeah.
yeah, it was
Speak
$3,400. It was his first car. And so the second child, as I said, I gave him my car. Of course, in our
hmm
family, we were kind of like giving the kids different things to help them out so that they could build themselves for their own life further ahead. And so, yeah,
naturally.
yeah. So I paid for that card on my credit card. I remember my youngest
Wow,
son,
I just pulled it
my
from the
oldest
field,
son.
I guess. The
Yeah,
numbers kind of match. I said 3,000, you said
three
3,400.
3,400, thirty
That's
four hundred
crazy. But
Honda
here's the
Accord.
thing, Honda Accord, good vehicles. So
Amazing.
let's say somebody is, if you're in a situation right now where you have no money and you've got rent to pay, you've got mortgage to pay, you got your car note to pay, and you're sitting at least a 700 credit score, you can take, and this is just an example, you're able to, let's say, buy a car off Facebook Marketplace, since we're using this example, and then you can turn around and sell this vehicle, let's say for its true value. So now let's say the vehicle is valued, the auto loan value you verified is $7,000. So now you can put a for sale sign on that vehicle, put it in a prime location on the highway, like where you're able to let it sit there, or you can have it at your home with a for sale sign on it, and
Yep.
then you then market it on Facebook Marketplace and other places online. Someone buys it from you for $7,000. Now you have $4,000 profit. Do you know you
Very
can now
true.
pay your mortgage? You
Very
can now
true.
pay your rent. You can now buy your groceries. You can now pay for continue to pay for your subscriptions. You can now continue paying for your those regular monthly financial obligations that comes with your business. Like if you are an entrepreneur and you're doing working from home, you're able to do all of that. And guess what? Let's say you don't have $4,000 profit. You have $1,000 profit because you pay back your credit card. So you pay back your credit card, the 3,000, you have $1,000. But if you basically level up that 7,000, that $4,000 that you get, you now go and buy another vehicle for 3,000, sell it again for another 7,000. So now you've got that money for your rent, your mortgage, and everything else. You've just taken care of yourself without
Yeah.
unemployment without going and applying for a job, without working, like without getting two jobs, without sacrificing your the way you live, your lifestyle right now. You didn't have to go on unemployment. You didn't have to get government assistance because you probably won't qualify for government assistance because you need dependents to qualify. There's certain things where people that need assistance just don't get it for whatever reasons. There's this. But my point is, with credit, you are able to take care of yourself. You're able to not put yourself in such a survival state. So my clients, like when I talk to people, I can't, I wish I could infuse them with my knowledge and say, hey, listen to this. But there's only so much that you can say what a human brain can absorb. There's
Yeah.
really only so much that I can say for someone to really get me, to really understand. But just by building up your credit score, another 30 points, another 40 points, another 60 points or 70 points, Simone, and put yourself in a better financial standing, a credit card can be a gift if you don't buy the handbags. Wait till you have profit and wait till you have a consistency of profits. Then you buy the handbag. Then you buy the vacation tickets and everything else. But I would not use a credit card for those reasons up front. I would
Okay.
use that to make money. You're flipping. You're flipping.
Yeah, let's lay out a sort of like a playbook or a foundation of how somebody can actually do this in real life, and we'll give them the play by play so that you can give them the exact steps of how to go about making sure that they do it from a place of education for them to at least get to the next step. And then, of course, it would probably be best to work directly with you because you'd be able to identify exactly what their situation is because all situations are unique to the individual. We don't know whether somebody's gone through bankruptcy. We don't know where their credit score is at. We don't know whether they're just getting started or whether they're in their 60s and they've been at it for a long time. So let's go there now and provide the audience with really practical steps on how they can do this.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a quick break now to let you know that today's show is sponsored by my book, Against Medical Advice. This book is a memoir and it tells the story of how I built my life back after suffering a stroke during my divorce. I discuss the nutritional, lifestyle, and mindset aspects that I put into practice to regain my health and rebuild my life. The book has been a labor of love, both writing it and publishing it, and I couldn't be more proud of it. Please pick up your copy from Amazon. For your very own signed copy, my email address is simone@simonegisondi.com. Oh, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd please consider leaving a review once you've read the book. And now, back to the show. Okay, Mika. So let's do some practical recovery for our audience out there because I really want everybody to walk away from this show with something that they could start doing right away. So if let's say someone out there is listening right now, and I'm sure there are many who are, and they feel completely overwhelmed financially, especially given everything that's happened in the world, since let's say 2020 when everything took a very sharp turn and people are struggling right now. What would you say would be the first three things that they should start doing right now, this week, today, that can get the ball rolling on them really recovering? Something that creates momentum really fast.
Yes. That is a really good question, Simone, because I know that you're all about momentum.
Yes.
Yes, one of your foundations for Health Confidential. And so with health, that includes money, like money confidential, health confidential, because you
Right.
made that beautiful connection between the nervous system and our finances and how they're woven together. So some of the things that someone can do. So if you find yourself in a financial place that you do not want to be in, Like this is the last place that you ever thought that you would be. First, I want to tell you I've been there. I understand. I know. And the first thing I want to commend you for listening to this episode regarding nervous system and money and this connection. So the first three things that you can do now is first, it's going to be the easiest thing. However, so I'm not going to say anything maybe new to you that I haven't already said through this episode, but it's probably something that you have not done yet. And that would be taking out a sheet of paper and a pen. When we are in our thoughts, when we are in our heads, we're just continually looping this narrative, this story, and it keeps us in this fight or flight freeze mode
Yeah,
where we take no action.
so true.
Week after week, month after month, we stay in our heads, we stay in our feelings, and then we just keep looping this cycle of the cortisol and the stress looping through our bodies, and we don't do anything. We don't transform our situation. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
On
And we
that
keep
note,
feeling,
if I
yeah,
may interject, because I'm guilty of that too, here are all
me
my
three.
bills that I have not opened. I got these out of my mailbox about, what's today? Probably
What's
about
that?
4 or 5 days ago. And
Oh,
I just find every excuse to do other things because I don't want to look at the numbers. And I'm
well,
so
let's,
glad that the advice that you just gave, because I remember once upon a time I did this once and it was so scary. And I teach people in my health practice to do the same thing. If you were to write down everything you eat every day and you see that you ate so much crap that's actually going to adversely affect your health, and you see it with your eyes, it has a very different impact than it being in your thoughts. And I did the same thing with money. Like, if I had a notebook, and every day, if I was to go get coffee from Starbucks, whatever, I would write it down. And then I would look at it at the end of the week and I'm like, Lord have mercy, I paid $6.70 for coffee. I could have made that at home. And it was
hmm,
so impactful when you see it with your eyes. Girl, God
yeah.
bless. Please continue. I'm so sorry. I wanted to just
Yeah,
say that I'm
no,
guilty
don't
of.
be sorry. I
Yeah.
mean, and thank you for your honesty. Thank you for
Oh, yeah.
showing people, because sometimes people look at us and they're like, she's so perfect. She's got it all together. Or he's so
Hmm.
perfect. He's got it all together. She doesn't have the problems I have. He doesn't have the issues I have. Their
Don't
life
believe
is
the
better.
hype. Don't
You
believe
know what
the
I mean?
hype.
Yes. People think like, you know, oh my gosh, well, she has a reason to be happy, and she can, doesn't know what I'm going through. Like I'm going through this. No one else is going through this. So that's a narrative that plays out in our heads.
Yeah.
So Simone, if you can do me the liberty of opening at least one of those envelopes.
Oh, sure. Right now
We're
on
live
air.
live on air. We're
Live on
doing
air.
this.
Okay,
And you don't have
let's do
to
my line of
read.
credit.
Yeah. So I do want to just put this out there. This is not for you to, air out your laundry, but just for you to have this emotional release of just opening the envelope and scanning it. You don't even have to tell us what's in it, but,
Yep.
and that's going to give other people the power, the empowerment to do the same for themselves.
Yep. There it is. Okay. You know, I have to tell you, when I do pay my bills, and one of the things that I do is I take a day out of the month and I do all of them. You know, I actually like feel really good after I do it. I actually
I
feel
remember you said
really
that.
good after I do it. Leading up to
Yeah.
it, I feel this like,
Like a
and then
little bit of
after,
anxiety.
yeah,
The
and
nervous system is the nervous system responding like,
that's it.
no.
Nervous system. You're so right. Yeah, it's the nervous system that's kind of, and I'm resisting and I'm pushing and I don't want to face it because I think
Yeah.
that just what you said, we have that whole idea of everything has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, you feel this, oh, I failed
Like
myself.
resentment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing things proper. And look at what a failure I am. So we just beat ourselves up, and the nervous system is like, oh, okay, well, I want to be safe from that. So just don't look at it, because if you don't look at it, you're not going to see the failure. And if you don't see the failure, we're not going to feel bad. If we're not going to feel bad, all things are good. So just don't open those envelopes. Just leave them there.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, okay. So I opened this one, and see, this is like step one. Once you looked at it, now it's like, okay, now you have a piece of information that you could work with. And it's so important that, because they say that knowledge is the potential of power, because if we don't use it, it's just knowledge. It's just sitting there.
Yeah. And
But
how do
yeah,
you
so
feel now that you've opened the envelope?
okay, so
I,
this one is actually like when I look at it, it's not bad at all. Um, I'm gonna actually share. So my limit here is $8,200, and my available credit is 7,998. So this is like
mm-hmm.
really good. Like I'm good with this one. So if I feel relief when I look at
You feel
it.
relief. So before you
Yeah.
open the envelope, did you feel some anxiety, some
Oh, absolutely.
anxiousness,
Yep.
like this was
Oh
like
yeah.
you were gonna open like a can of worms? You didn't know what to expect. So the not knowing kind of made you feel a little scared, a little
I was
fearful.
I like, if you want to know specifically what I was feeling, for those of you that, if you ever like sit kind of and you connect to your body, I was bracing. It's like, when you're bracing for impact, that's kind of like how I felt. I was like, let's see what that one says. And then you open
Mm-hmm.
it and you look at, it's like your eyes fall on the numbers, and then instantly the feeling comes like, oh shit. Or, oh, okay, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're good. So, yeah. So, okay. So
So
please
that is step
continue.
one.
Step
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to get out a sheet of paper and a pen, and you
Yeah.
want to do what Simone just did. You want to have your envelopes, or if you're doing paperless statements, then you want to log in to those accounts. So log in online, have your computer or your phone, log in, and then with your piece of paper and your pen, you can write down the due dates, right? And you can write down the minimum amounts due for each account, and you write down the names of the accounts. Okay. So
Okay.
you are now empowering yourself. There's a big psychological move, big psychological play that you just did. By you doing that, you're
Yeah.
taking your freedom back, you're taking your power back. Something as simple as a pen and paper, and then utilizing tools. Your phone is a tool, not just for scrolling,
That's
not
right.
just for TikTok and all this other stuff. And your computer, the same. It is a tool that you can use to now plan. You can plan your next 30 days.
And
So
and I want to
go ahead.
say, Mika, it's so also, just because it just came to me now that you were talking. It's so, the empowerment that it's like being a CEO. You get to dictate and have the power as to what happens with the movement of the money, with how much, if whether you pay the minimum payment or more than that, or however you shift money around, which I'm sure you'll tell us about. But that's actually true. It's very empowering that
Yeah.
you're in the position of power to make
And you
things.
feel different, don't you, Simone? Like you
Absolutely.
feel more expansive instead of shrinking
Yeah.
and contracting. You feel like lifted.
Yeah, because you're calling the shots. We all like to have that feeling of power and the ability to, dictate what happens. And I also want to mention, like, oftentimes, like in our families, like if you were to look at the family unit or the household unit as a, let's say, entity, a corporation, a company, and you are at the helm and you call the shots of, the when, the how, where we go, what vacations, how long, how much, what
Mm-hmm.
resorts, whatever. That's actually quite empowering.
Yeah. So for you listening in, you're able to have that same feeling. So you're able to shift. And it doesn't really matter the news that's in the envelope. And 80% of the expectation, the anticipation that we think that we're going to get when we open that envelope, like before we open that envelope, is fear and is basically it's negative. Like
Yep.
we're expecting the worst, but it's all an illusion. So when you actually open up the envelope, it's like, oh, okay. They're just giving, and sometimes, to be honest, if let's say if someone is behind, so if you are listening and let's say you're behind, sometimes they just send you a letter just to let you know, like, hey, you're behind. It's not a consequence. There isn't a letter that really, they may say a few
So true.
words that like pay this, or there's going to be this additional fee, this additional late fee or charge or etc. But they'll send you letters that's just basically it's the same language, like, you're late, right?
So it's
That's it.
basically
So it's like
information.
it's not like off with your head. It's like we have decided the fate of your life, and we've come to the conclusion of da da da. It's never that.
I'm
So
so
don't be
glad you
afraid
said
to
that.
open it. Yeah, right. Don't
That's
be afraid
so
to open
true.
up the envelope. They're just gonna tell you, Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so, you're late, right?
Yeah.
And then here's the fee as a result of that. So now just empower yourself. So you want to get out a piece of paper and a pen. You want to have either your phone to log into those accounts or your computer to log into the accounts. And now you've shifted completely. Those two little actions completely shifts the dynamic in such a huge way.
Yeah.
So you're no longer the prey. You're no longer the prey. You're like what Simone just said. You're now CEO. So that is
That's
the
right.
very first step if someone is behind. So you do that. The next step, and Simone has heard me say this in our credit masterclass that I hosted, is that you want to pull up your credit report. So
Mm,
you do want to know what is in your credit report, what is reporting under your personal information. So you're able to, there are free sites. If you're in the US, and I can't remember the exact, I don't know if it's annual creditreport.com, or Google it. Google it so that you're getting the right account, or through your bank. Your bank is going to give
yeah.
you access through your credit report. So if you don't
I
want to go and search, you can go through your bank. Hmm.
Yeah, for those in Canada, because I check mine on a regular basis, and typically they don't give you access to the full report, but rather just your credit score. However, Equifax in Canada and
Hmm.
TransUnion, I believe,
TransUnion. Yeah.
and those are where you can actually get. And I know for a fact because I had to do this for myself. Um, Equifax actually allows you, I believe it's one free per year, so that you could
Yeah.
actually look at, or you could. They have a membership, so you could actually stay on top of things to see what's being reported, so you could action it right away. But
Exactly. Equifax.
yeah,
So yes, you log in. If you haven't created an account yet, you create an account with those, like Simone said, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So those three. So then you have access, or you go to myfico.com. So there you're able to log in too, so that you can see what's reporting. So that's step number two. Now, this is a very important part. Once you pull up your credit report, just like Simone did, you pull up your credit report, you don't want to just pull it up. You want to print it.
yeah, so
Printing
important.
it is another form of taking accountability. It's
Yeah,
taking ownership over your finances that's on paper.
yeah,
It's such a huge psychological play, and it works in your favor if you do this.
yeah.
Like that alone, there is no real there trying to see how to phrase this. There is no real connection between printing it and your credit score increasing. It indirectly increases your credit score
How so, Mika?
because because of the psychological aspect of it, Simone. by someone who has been fearful, by someone that has been avoidant, by someone who has been have been freezing. They freeze for
Mm-hmm.
months, maybe years of
Mm-hmm.
avoiding their their financial reports. When they finally print it, they're writing it down. They're writing down the due dates. They're writing down the minimum payments due. They're pulling up their credit. Now they're printing it in some shape or form. It increases their credit score because of the psychological aspect of it. So
I think
by
that
printing
even
it,
the
go ahead.
companies probably see you actively involved in your own um, financial literacy, and you're and actively involved in making sure that you take care of your finances. I'm sure that looks favorable even to those companies.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It's just there's something about it. Just like you can tell when a man or a woman is confident or they're not confident. So when someone walks into a room and they're confident,
Yeah,
they're like a million times percent chance higher that they're going to get a favorable outcome of whatever it is
so
they
true.
want, whether it's a free drink, whether it's a free coffee, whether it's someone's phone number, or whether it's working with someone, like networking, whatever it is, because they're confident for them, not to impress anyone in a room, but this is coming internally for them,
Yeah,
whether without any attachment to the outcome, Simone, like they shift the energy, they shift the room. So it's the same with printing your credit report. Because you've printed your credit report, like you've shifted the room. And so in some shape or form, you get, like, let's say if I could put a number on it, let's say 20 points credit increase because of your interstate shifting. You've now set up like a domino effect of other chain of reactions to happen that
that's
will
so
result in that
true.
20 points increase just by printing it, printing your credit report. Like you've shifted your energy.
Yes,
And
I
so,
remember when I did that and I sat down with it with a highlighter and I was looking at every single thing and I felt so good that I was like, oh my God, like I'm able to identify if there's any mistakes and I'm able to see like who's reporting what. I would look at things that were, obviously so far back. And they actually, one of the things that we should know is that Equifax, for example, or even I'm sure TransUnion, you could actually contact them to ask them to edit things that are not correct because there could be mistakes that you're unaware of. So you carry the mistakes forward with your credit score being lower. Whereas if you correct that mistake, that could bring your credit score up.
exactly. Hence why it's you're printing it. So with printing your credit report, you do what Simone said, where you're able to find errors and then dispute those errors.
Yeah.
So it's a huge financial flex, a huge financial play for your credit health.
Yeah.
So now, when you do find errors, you go through the proper channels to dispute them. So now, and that includes the spelling of your name, that includes a wrong address, a wrong
Yeah.
phone number. The list goes on. A debt that's on there that's not yours. So then your credit score, when you detect something and then you have it removed, so let's say there's a collection on there that's not yours, or it was yours 7 years ago and it should no longer be there because that 7 years expiration time has expired for that to be reporting. So now you get that removed, your credit could go up like 40 points,
Oh,
30,
wow.
40 points just by detecting like a collection that should have been off 7 years ago or a collection that was never yours in the first place. Yeah, because collections carry a lot of weight, a lot of weight.
Oh, yeah.
So, so you want to print it. So, we've gone through step one, step two. There's so many. So if you are in a situation, for rebuilding yourself. So then you print your credit report. The third one that I would say is more empowering yourself with your accounts. You want to know the due dates because the first step I said was to have a piece of paper and a pen, and
Yeah.
is to write down everything related to those accounts, the due dates and the minimum payment due. So the third step I would say is find out the close date of each credit card. So the close date, it's also known as your statement close date. It's going to be different. It's always different from, well, I don't want to say always different, but most of the time it's different from the actual due date.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a
So,
so there's a difference between due date and due date. Um, Please correct me if I'm wrong. Refers to the time that money lands in their account, like they've actually collected your payment. That's the due date. So by that date, they're supposed to have money in their hand that you've paid to them as your
yes, they want to
payment.
have, yeah, so they want to have your payment to them by the due date. So they
Okay.
count that. Okay.
So
So
that,
when you
yeah,
pay it by
because
then.
okay, so then what's the closing date that you were talking about?
Yeah, so when you pay it by the due date, there is no late fees, there's no consequence with paying it by the due date. The billings statement close date could be a different date, and it could be a date that is usually after the due date or a little bit before. So the billing cycle close date, so this matters for credit cards more than it matters for anything else like mortgage or auto
Mm.
loan because of the benefits that it comes with. When you know the billing cycle close date, you're able to make additional payments so that it lowers if you have an interest, like if you've got a balance, then you're making payment towards that and it's going to lower your interest that's due for the following month.
Okay, so
So
let's
knowing,
let's give an example, like a real life example. Let's say you have a visa and the payment is due on April 15th.
mm-hmm,
So that means that Visa has to have your payment received by April 15th. And then the closing date, you said, could be prior to that. So it could be April 13th,
it,
April 12th,
yeah,
or
or
it
it could
could
be
be
after. So
April
let's say,
20th.
yeah, so let's say it's April 20th, with that scenario. So let's say you make the minimum payment by the 15th.
Okay.
So they have that, excuse me. So it satisfies that account. You're in a clear. You made the minimum payment.
Yeah.
So now
That's your like minimum requirement that you're
mhm.
committed to. So you have fulfilled your contractual agreement or the basics of the contractual agreement that you would make a payment by that time, and it has to be a minimum, which is like X dollars.
Yeah, let's say it's $50.
Okay.
So you made that $50 payment.
Yeah.
So now you've got additional funds happens to be available. And so the billing cycle closes on the 20th. This is the date that billing cycle close date is a date that they report to the credit bureaus.
Ah, okay.
So
Okay.
now, when you so knowledge is power. So like you said, Simone, is the potential of power.
Yeah.
So because you know they report on the 20th, I used to make the mistake. I'm laughing. I used to make the mistake because I would make a payment, let's say by the 15th or the whatever, for a credit card. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, I made the payment. I could start using it. So then you max out the card or I use it to where it's almost max. And then they report on the 20th. And now I've got this huge balance reporting on my credit report. I'm like, oh, but I made the payment. Yeah, you made the payment, but they reported it on the 20th. So now they're reporting your usage, your actual full
Oh,
usage. So it's like,
damn.
oh
Okay,
no.
now I
So now you see
understand.
the power of this, the fact that you know the billing cycle close date. So when you make your payment, I do recommend to not use your card until
Okay.
it reports to the credit card bureau. So let's say they report it on the 20th. So now I don't use a card and I get the opportunity to make an additional payment. So then that addition, so if I do have a, let's say I have a balance, and so I make another $100 payment. So now on the 20th, they're going to report $150 payment for the
Okay.
credit bureau. So now I've
What if you
lowered
were
my
to
balance.
make now another payment because you just went up? The example you gave was that $50 was your minimum payment, and then you went and you doubled your minimum payment. What if you were to go and make, let's say you go double in the opposite direction and you make another $25 payment on top of your 50 instead
Hmm.
of going, more?
Yeah, so if you make a payment, then what it does is it's going to show the amount that you paid. So when it reports to the credit bureaus, they're gonna say, Simone Gisondi made a payment. Here was the amount of her payment.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there is a balance, it's gonna say the balance is now reported as XYZ, and
Mm-hmm.
then the interest for that balance is XYZ. So
Mm-hmm.
you benefit yourself when you make an additional payment by the billing cycle close date.
So it
So
doesn't even matter how much more, even if you have another $10 to throw in. What I'm wondering is,
do, yeah,
does that
do
have
it.
any consequence, or like what's the, does it increase your, like, even by a point or two, that you went and you threw in an additional $10-$20 to your bill?
So what it does do for you is that you're lowering your interest. So
Ah,
you
okay.
lower your, yeah, so you lower your interest. And then secondly, it you will see points increase dependent on how much of a payment you've made. So Simone, if I make, let's say my additional payment, it's I leave now a small balance. Like before the balance was, let's say I was maxed out
Yeah.
on my card, and now my additional payment has now left me where I've got 10% left, a 10% balance left on that card. Yes, my credit score shoots up
Yeah.
dramatically. So you
Okay.
do want
Okay.
to know your billing cycle close date and you want to write it down for each card. And so knowing your billing cycle close date, and I do want to say this tip is that I know life happens. With I've seen clients that have gone through divorce, clients
Mm.
that have gone through health situations like Simone's situation where she was in a hospital for 4 months, and the people that were supposed to be that Simone thought would be paying for her expenses like mortgage, car, credit cards, other things, utilities, and they didn't make payment. When you get unemployed all of a sudden, and so now your payments that you were making regularly, you can't keep up with. Life happens.
Very
Life
true.
really does happen. I do want to say you still have you still have some forms of power. You still have some things that you can do. It also depends on what the situation is. So let's talk about unemployment. You're working at a job, all of a sudden they lay you off.
Yeah.
Whatever, let's just go with that scenario. So now you've got statements, you've got your mortgage, you've got your car, you've got a couple of credit cards, you've got student loans, you've got about, you've got about 20 accounts you're responsible for every single month.
Yeah.
So life, it may feel like the end of the world, and I get it. I'm here to tell you it's not the end of the world, and here's how. You have 30 days to make a payment before it shows up on your credit report.
Yeah.
So if you are late on your mortgage, for example, you're unemployed and now you're choosing between groceries, buying groceries and paying utilities versus mortgage, that scenario, you have 30 days to make a payment before it shows up on your credit report as late.
Yeah.
I do want to kind of say this ahead of time. You want to do everything in your power to keep a good credit report. Anything that you can humanly do that is legal, you
That
want
is
to
legal.
do to
Stay legal, people.
stay legal. Um, you want to do. If that requires bake sales, garage sales,
Yeah.
if that requires pet sitting, whatever it takes, there's a huge responsibility that comes that you want to maintain.
Mm.
You're maintaining your credit report. There's you want to do that, okay? Because as we mentioned earlier, credit is a wealth leveraging tool.
Yeah.
You want to maintain that as spotless as you can so you can level up. And I say this because if if someone loses everything, if someone loses their home, if someone loses their car, if someone loses their job, if someone loses everything, but this person has good credit, Simone, if you have a 700, a 750, a 800, a 830 credit score, whatever, if you have a strong credit, you know that you can go and buy a car with
That's
credit.
right.
You're
That's right.
able to liquidate a card and get an apartment the same day. The same day. The same day that you lose your home, you're able to go and get another one because
So
of
true.
credit. Credit, at least in North America, is more, not more important, but your credit opens doors. You're
Uh,
able to go and get a business. You're able to like go and get a business. You're able to enroll yourself in a program.
yeah.
You're able to use those cards to buy groceries. You're able to use those cards to pay your utilities so that you're not choosing between, you're not playing any mini miny mode what to keep on and what to keep off.
Yeah.
Credit is a tool that you can use. This is why you want to keep it spotless. This is why. So let's say you're not in that position to if you've lost your job, you're unemployed, and your credit is not 700, it's lower. You're not in that position to liquidate cards, take advantage of good credit because the person doesn't have it at this present moment. That's okay. Contact well, let me back up. You have 30 days, as I mentioned before, to pay a bill before it gets reported to your credit. So because I understand the nervous system and what's happening with the stress of just now getting unemployed, life feels like it feels like a bad day times 10. And so you're not in the right frame of mind. You can't think straight. You're not going to make the best decisions. You're in anxiety, you're in urgency, you're in pressure. You're in pressure to figure it out. And
Oh no.
honestly, you can't figure it out. There's nothing you can do to figure it out. But you've got something on your side, and that's 30 days. You have 30 days to pay your mortgage before it shows up late on your credit card, on your credit report. You have 30 days to pay your car note before it shows up as late on your credit report. You have 30 days to pay your student loan before it shows up as late on your credit report. You have 30 days, Simone, to pay credit cards before it shows up as late on your credit report. The game plan is to keep the credit report as clean as possible. So now don't try to figure things out on the day that you get unemployed, the day that you lose everything, the day that, the spouse walks out on you, or the day that you have to walk out on your spouse, or the day that tragedy happens, or the day this is not a time to figure things out. But you do have 30 days to use.
That
Okay?
that's
So
such
now with
a
that.
that's such an important thing because thinking back, just as you were speaking right now, I was thinking back to when I went through my medical thing with the stroke um and yeah, when you are in that, so if you proactively, and this goes across the board even in health, if you invest in your health, by the time disease comes, your body is way more resilient. You can take that on much easier than if you're like in a very vulnerable position. And the
Yeah.
same thing with money. If you leading up to the crisis coming into your life, and it's part of life, I mean, there will be ups and
Life is gonna
downs because,
happen.
yeah, like that is, it's eventually
Life is gonna
something's going to happen to
happen.
everybody. So if
Yeah.
you are proactively investing in having a good credit score and a good credit report so that you are financially resilient, for lack of a better term, when the
No, those are
eventual,
good. Those are good words.
yeah, when the eventual crisis strikes, you're already in a really good position to deal with that. Um,
Exactly.
and I remember when, yeah, when my, and I'm like thinking back right now, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even pay any attention, but I just remember how detrimental it was because when that came, so I'm putting it in perspective for people. When that event came for me, I was going through divorce. I know I told you this, Mika. So my marriage had already been decimated. There was betrayal in my marriage. So my marriage was falling apart. And the stress from that is what led me to the stroke. And
Mm,
then the fact that I wasn't able to make my payments now obviously affected me financially. So everything is connected because I know you alluded to this earlier on. Everything is connected. So if I had been financially resilient up until that point, imagine if I was to be able to walk in the bank and say, oh my God, you guys, here's proof that I had just gone through like almost a catastrophic health event. And they were able to say, oh, yeah, but looking at your credit history, you're actually really financially, what's the word? Um, you were good, you were making your payments, you're financially
excellent credit.
responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were financially responsible. So, yeah, this happened now, it happens. But if you walk in and they say, well, you're almost late on your payments, you didn't keep up with your things and you've kind of like overspent and now you have this health event, like, sorry,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you always want to be in that position of like you're already ahead of the game because I wish I knew that back then. And as an
Well,
aside,
yeah.
I remember
The
the
knowledge
knowledge
of it.
exactly. And so, speaking of knowledge, make yourselves aware of what's happening. Like, here's something that happened to me, and believe me, that impacted me so like huge. So at the time, my ex-husband and I were in our matrimonial home, beautiful house. We had mortgage, obviously, and so obviously I had gone through the whole thing with the stroke. And then when I come home, I get a call from the bank that we had the mortgage with. And the girl on the phone says to me, are you able to confirm for me if you got credit, like insurance for this mortgage, for this loan? And I'm like, no, but I'm sure that it was offered. You know how they always offer, do you want to insure this? And I'm like, I don't recall. I don't. I mean, first of all, my brain was broken because I had just gone through something huge. I'm like, no, I don't recall. But I'm like, if it is, I'm sure that there is a record of it on your end. So can you please just do a search and let me know if I had? So she's like, just hold for a second. So she put me on hold and she comes back after a few minutes and she said, oh, yes, unfortunately, you declined. You declined having
Mm,
this insurance on it. And I said, oh, I'm like, but just out of curiosity, I'm like, why are you asking me this question about this particular thing? She said, well, she goes, you reported to us that you had, and we have it on the record that you had gone through this, big medical event. So obviously they have it on their record now that, because I provided them with documentation of it from the hospital. She said, had you taken advantage of this, she said, we would have paid off the rest because you were not able to work. So,
Wow.
so
They would have paid the mortgage? They would have paid the entire balance or the monthly payment?
no, the entire thing. Like there were, so
Wow.
this level of insurance they offered to me was that in the event of, and it has to be something really extraordinary, and strokes fall, like cardiovascular disease falls under that, because typically people die from those things. And I want people to understand the severity of it. So for those of you that are out there that have perhaps seen in your families that there's a prevalence of, like, for me, I was the first in my family to have the stroke. Nobody had stroke. No, there's nobody in my
Mhm.
family on either side that had ever gone through stroke. Between my mom and my dad, I'm the only one. So if you have the prevalence of disease in your family and that is offered to you, that's a tool you should really consider using, because those are instruments that the banks use, I guess, as part of how they can help their clients and their customers.
Mhm.
So I really want people to give thought, because what you're teaching, Mika, and I really hope that people will take advantage of all your tips and tricks, not just from this show, but to work with you, because you go through everybody's individual situation, leave
Yeah.
no stone unturned to look for all the possible things. And you just gave so many great and amazing tips about how many things are available to us. Because I know that there is such a thing as medical bankruptcy. So a lot of people
Mhm.
end up being behind the eight ball, for lack of a better term, in
Mhm.
with their finances when crisis strikes. So I just wanted to sort of reiterate and reinforce what you said. Always be ahead. Keep that credit score. Keep your credit report clean. Be strong
Yeah,
with
a
your
report.
numbers. But yeah,
Speaking
so
of
I'm sure
numbers,
cancer, for example, probably falls under that as well, when they offered this. And I wish that I would have made those monthly payments, because had I been able to go through that, the house would have been paid off because of the severity
mm,
of my situation with the stroke. And then I would have, like, all that financial stress would have come off me. So
yeah,
that's a tool that you could have available to you. Of course, check with your bank, because like I said, work with Mika. She's able to identify specifics to everybody's situation, because there are like, you have to customize, I guess, the protocol that you would use for a client of yours
yeah.
based on
Everyone
whether,
is different.
yeah, have you had
But
have you been bankrupt before? Are you typically, are you unemployed at the moment? Are you employed? Are you self-employed alongside your employment? Are you only self-employed?
exactly.
So everybody's situation is different and unique, and you have to customize how you approach your situation, and that's the work that you do, Mika, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
When, yeah.
Yeah, and
So so
I
I
wanna do mention this also, Simone, about what because there are some people listening. The unemployment rate is much higher now than it has
yeah,
been before.
yeah,
Whether someone is a skilled worker or not, blue collar or white collar,
yeah,
I do want to say that the one of the tools that you have with it reporting 30 days is that um, a lot of people think when they're 2 weeks late on their mortgage, that is the end of the world. They generally think because this is your security, this is your home, this is your safety. So people lose their minds when they're like, "Oh no, this is the beginning of the end. I'm unemployed. I'm 2 weeks late on the mortgage,
yeah,
et cetera, et cetera." I do want to put you at ease and tell you that you have 30 days before it shows up as late on your credit report.
yeah,
Okay. So you are able to regroup. You are able to do whatever it is that you need to do legally so that you are able to make your mortgage payment within that 30 days. So if it's due on April 1st, you have till, let's say, the very latest, April 29th. Give yourself till April 29th to make that payment for your mortgage. What
okay,
does that mean for you? What that means for you is that your credit report, your credit profile stays clean. It stays spotless. It remains spotless
Yeah.
because you're making a payment within those 30 days before that 30 days hits. Now, you'll still get a late fee. There's still going to be a consequence through the mortgage company, through the bank. Whatever fee that is, $20, $30, $40, whatever it is. That doesn't matter. What matters is that we've made the payment before the 30 days late. That's the only thing that matters. If you
Yeah.
take away nothing else from this episode, heed these words. You have 30 days in North America, at least 30 days to make a payment to have your credit report stay spotless. You want to keep your credit report spotless because it is a credit building, like wealth building tool.
Yeah.
Again, with credit, you're able to purchase the things you need to purchase for your life. You can purchase a car. You can liquidate to get money for a property, down payment for a house, get a condo, a townhome, or an apartment.
Yeah.
You can have zero money in the bank, but a credit score that's over 700, and you are able to liquidate your cards or use credit cards to get a life back, to get your life back.
That
So
is
that is
so
some,
amazing.
right? So you
That's
want to
yeah.
utilize 30 days. Remember, you have within those 30 days. So I say 29 so that you do it within the 29 days. So let's just say 29 days. So you want to know this, okay?
Yes.
So that whatever it is that you need to do, whether it's door dashing, and you probably have gotten this too, Simone. I've spoken to so many Uber drivers, and they're telling me, "Yeah, I'm a realtor.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm a school teacher. Oh
Yeah.
yeah." And so these people are supplementing their driving to supplement their income. Or I used to do this, but I'm laid off. So you don't know what situation life will bring you to, but
That's right.
use so the fact that you're still able to have this is a gift though. I don't look
Mm-hmm.
at it as, man, life sucks. I'm door dashing if someone has to do that, or I'm doing Uber, whatever it is that person is doing, because I think it's a gift, Simone, because you can make your mortgage payment within that 29 days. You can pay your car within that 29 days so it
Yeah.
doesn't show up as late
Yeah.
on your credit report. So those are the basics. Now, some bonus. I want to leave your audience, Simone, with some bonus that you can do. So this, you already know, Simone, because we've talked about it, is balance transfer.
Yes.
So if you have at least two credit cards and you want to check that your credit card allows balance transfers, otherwise this play doesn't work. You want to make sure that your banks offer balance transfers. If they do, then you are able to transfer a balance from one card, either the entire balance or some of the balance, to your other card. This is gold. This is like one of the
Yes.
best
Yes.
creations ever. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what I used to do. It's funny. It's funny to me. So what I would do, Simone, what I used to do is that I have my two credit cards. For example, um, I'm giving you, I'm giving you some sauce right now. I'm giving you some really
Let
good.
her cook. Let her cook.
Oh, so basically, this is what I have done to what I did to maintain a spotless, perfect credit report. So I am maxed out on one credit card, right? So max out on one credit card, and let's say this credit card has a $3,500 credit limit.
Okay.
Max out on that credit card. So I make a payment by the billing cycle close date, as we discussed a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as soon as that balance shows up as zero, I have another credit card that's due, and let's say it's due in 3 days, right? So then I initiate a balance transfer from the credit card payment that I just made, and I initiate balance transfer for this other credit card that's due in 3 days.
Wow.
So now I'm stretching my payment. So I'm not taking any more money from my checking account,
That's
from my paycheck,
amazing.
right?
Wow.
All I did was like cycle it around. And some of
That
you are
is
probably
amazing.
listening, right? Some people are listening. They're like, well, all you're doing is taking money from Paul and giving it to, Peter. Listen, Karen, listen. The point
Karen.
is, the point is that
It was Linda,
if
by the way. Linda,
Linda,
listen,
Linda,
Linda.
Linda,
Listen
I
to me,
love,
Linda.
wasn't that Linda,
It was the
Linda,
little
Linda,
boy. Yeah, it was so cute.
Linda, I love that. So Linda, listen, you're probably thinking, well, I don't see the point in that because you got a balance transfer fee of like 18% and whatever, whatever. Listen, I maintain like a 800 credit score. I did not make an additional payment.
Payment.
I did not. So if money is tight right now, Simone, if money is tight right now because of recently coming out of the hospital,
Yeah.
because you're now in a separated relationship. So now there's a one income household instead of two, or there's unemployment, or you just made a payment for your your masters that you're now taking and you couldn't get financial loan for that. So now you've got a new bill every month to pay that's, it's it's like a car note. You're now paying like an additional car note, but it's for your masters.
Wow.
Or there's so many things. Or there's immigration. So now you've got your spouse and now you're paying an additional fee for an immigration lawyer so that you two can be together legally in this country. There's so many things people are going through, Simone. So wouldn't I want to take advantage of this opportunity of making one credit card payment and then circling that baby?
Yes.
Wouldn't I
Yes.
want to do that and Simone
Wow.
maintain a 800 credit score?
There you
Yes.
have it.
Yes,
Oh
I
my
will take
God.
yes, I will take that 18% balance transfer fee. Yes, I'll take that.
Okay.
Why, Simone? Because my credit score being 800,
Is going to
800,
open new
I'm
doors for
able,
you.
it
Yeah.
opens doors for me.
So true.
It opens doors.
So let me
So
just
now,
summarize it here. So you basically make
yeah,
one
but
single payment for I want people to understand
this is
this.
one play. This is one. Yes. So
Yeah,
this
so
is
you make
one,
one
but I
single
do,
payment to a card, which
yes.
is obviously this is one of your bills, and
Yeah.
then you are leveraging that card to be able to make other payments without taking
For
any
another credit card.
additional for
No
another
additional
credit
fee.
card
I do
with
want to point out, yes, without making any additional payments. I'm paying nothing else additional. I do want to point out that yes, Lisa, that
Linda.
the card Linda, thank you. Yeah, Linda, that the other card is now, let's say the other card is maxed out. Yes. But I'm doing this. I'm doing
Yeah, you're
this.
basically what they used to
That's
call
all I'm doing.
OPP, other people's money. So you're
Other
using the
people's
bank's
monies.
money to move money around to maintain your credit score without taking any additional money out of your account to maintain to be able to meet the deadlines of what the banks give us, to be able to make sure that a payment is fulfilled on your contract, like as part of your contract with the said bank, with the said financial instrument, whatever it may be, whether it's a line of credit or a credit card, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or even a mortgage, I'm sure, and to be able to, and there are so many, because I know when I did your master class, and we're running out of time, but I really want people to
Yeah.
work with you, because I remember there was another thing that you talked about, and during the master class about how to, so if you're able to take all of this money and apply it to a payment, and then afterwards even make your payments for your utilities, because then you could actually extract all of the benefits of whatever card the card offers, like loyalty points that you could turn into
Yeah.
getting gift cards to be able to buy yourself something. So you could use these instruments in a way that you don't take any additional money out of your own account to be able to get things, to be able to fulfill things, to be able. So you guys, it's so, if you're financially literate, and I don't consider myself as one to the degree that Mika is, and this is why I did the masterclass with her. So if you guys were to find out all of these tips and tricks, and you were to be able to step up your financial game to be able to actually leverage what's available to you so that you are winning rather than let the bank win, because they're already winning. They make, like most banks make in the billions per year. We don't. Um, Please, I implore you, go work with someone. Please reach out to Mika. I'll have everything in the show notes. And Mika, please tell us where they can reach out to you, because I want to also give people, when we close, I want to give people some statistics, because I did research before I invited you on this show so that people can understand the severity of how impactful finances are on our health. I mean, health is my thing, so I really want people to
Yeah.
understand it does impact our health. And I've walked that with the stroke, so I really want people to understand. But tell us, where can people find you, reach out to you, work with you so that they can actually get their finances back on track?
Yes. And thank you for allowing me to be on your show again.
I'm going to have you back,
It's a
girl. Don't you
pleasure.
worry.
Yeah. It's been awesome. It's awesome to just know you, period. Uh, Simone, to answer your question, you can find me, those of you listening, you can find me Align 369 Enterprise website and also Instagram. So Align 369 Enterprise. So there, you can schedule a free call, and then we'll look at your credit together. For a lot of
Yeah.
my clients, it's their first time that they're actually looking at their credit, and
Yeah.
it's all good. So this is a judgment-free zone. So I've seen people that have spotless credits, and then I can tell, and then I'll see where the decline happened, and then that's where the divorce was. That's when the divorce happened. That's when the
Yeah.
unemployment happened. That's when something in life happened that caused them to derail. So I can
Yeah.
see where a healthy account became unhealthy, became irregular with payments. So it's a judgment free zone. Life happens. I had bad credit at one time. I know what that feels like. You do want to just take the initiative and be greater than the nerves. Don't let chronic stress and survival mode keep you from living a normal life,
Yeah.
because the money stress can totally derail you and keep you just in a vigilant state that you're not meant to be in.
Yeah.
Life can be good again. I know life just happened to some of
Yeah.
you with
Absolutely.
unemployment, betrayals, and you're working your full-time job and you're getting your master's on top of that, and
Absolutely.
someone's living in their car, things are happening. Like, you can have a better chapter. Simone is an example. Like, Simone
Yes.
came back from hell, like literally. Like, you've heard Simone's story and you know
Yeah.
where she came from. And so you can rebound. You can have a being a better chapter than the chapter that you're in right now if you walk the walk.
I will
So
say this. Okay, so I wish that I would have met you back when I went through the my health event,
I
because
wish that would have met me too. but,
you know
but
why?
I
I'll
have
tell you
bad
why.
credit.
Yes, because I would have been able to really leverage everything to a degree where I would be in a way better position. And I'm not discounting. And thank you for what you said, because so I really want you guys to understand. And I'm not saying this to, boast or anything, but just to empower you to say, like, it's so possible. So my marriage was breaking down. I mean, like it was in complete shambles because of the betrayal. And then I ended up, in the hospital. The stroke came, and then I got out of the hospital. We got divorced because this whole thing was happening in the midst of the divorce. Like we had filed, but not yet fully fulfilled, and all of that. And I ended up we had to sell the matrimonial home. Obviously, we were not together anymore, and we were going in our different directions. And we agreed that we would take our respective debt forward. So I had credit cards, he had credit cards. I took my credit cards and my debt. He took his credit cards and his debt. I want you guys to know, not every guy is going to help you. For the ladies out there are women who get alimony. I didn't. Um, and then I moved on by myself post stroke. I went to school, much like what Mika was saying. If you go to school, if you're getting your master's, if you, whatever you're doing, I went back to school. I was working a full time job, and I was training clients once I recovered from the whole stroke thing, and just so that I can have my money. And then I bought one property. Like that's how,
Mm.
like that, you guys can do whatever the fuck you want. Okay. Don't ever let any kind of health crisis or life crisis take you down. If you take ownership of it, you can do so much. You have the power to just move mountains. I bought a property, I sold that property, and then I bought another property and I moved in there with my kids. We bought a house. And so now I had gone from owning a home with my ex-husband to owning a house by myself. Let me tell you how good I felt when I knew that I did that by myself, single
So
income. I was
good.
making it happen. And I
That's
had to
so
qualify
good.
for that by myself. There was nobody who was like on it with me for them to say, well, together you guys make X dollars, and alone you
Mm-hmm.
make X dollars. I did it all by myself alone. And that's what I mean. Like, had I had you and your services available back then, Mika, oh my God, I would have been able to do way more. But I still want to people to understand that there's still so much that you could still do. So I bought the second property, then I sold that, and I moved closer, and then I bought a condo. So I was in the condo now. Um, two and a half bedroom condo, big condo, especially in the Canadian real estate market. So trust me when I tell you, you can do so much. And if now that you guys are able to work with somebody who's a specialist like Mika, you'd be able to do so much more. Now, on that note, I want you guys to understand how finances affect health. And I say this because I come from that. So, chronic stress is strongly associated with worse mental and physical health outcomes. I ended up nearly dying. So, mental and physical health outcomes for me meant that I nearly died from the stroke. Okay. For those of you that are out in the United States, CDC, WHO, the World Health Organization, and the APA all support the connection between chronic stress, well-being, and disease risk. So you guys can go and fact check me. The receipts are right there. Financial instability is a major social determinant of health, affecting access to care, food quality, okay, what you're going to be able to afford to buy. So it's in your best interest to make sure that you keep your finances up to date and in good standing. Um, it affects medication adherence because some people just can't afford to buy their medication. It affects sleep, mental health, and daily coping, especially if this like weighs heavily on your mind. Uh, Again, for those in the United States, medical debt has historically affected millions upon millions of Americans and has been widely discussed as a major household burden. So you guys can do the research to find those kind of discussions. Medical debt causes people to delay care, to avoid treatment, or remain in prolonged financial distress. And again, like we just started talking in the beginning, don't avoid it just because if you don't see it, it's not happening. It's still there in the background. Rules around credit reporting and medical debt have evolved over time. So current tactical specifics should come with the from what you're able to do, not from what you think you can do. So please, please, please work with someone. Go work with Mika. She's going to be able to look at your situation. And on that note, I want to say I know Mika personally, and I could tell you she's the kindest, most loving, most welcoming person. She would never judge you. I'm able to speak with her about anything, although she's one of maybe two people in my entire life that I could tell anything to. Um, Now, financial stress does not mean illness is caused by money. It's caused by the stress from the money. So if you're stressing, it's in your best interest to take care of the money and the aspect of money that you are avoiding or stressing over. Financial stress absolutely worsens health, reduces resilience, especially in your health, and it interferes with healing behaviors. Mika kind of alluded to all of that about the nervous system. Once your nervous system is in that state of fight, flight, freeze, and all of that, you are not going to be healing anything. I could say this from my health expertise that if your system is not, if your nervous system is not regulated, you're not going to heal irrespective of what you have. Whether you have high blood pressure, whether you have cancer, you're not going to heal it. Your nervous system depends on you. It's going to stay in that survival mode. It means you're barely surviving. You're not healing. Um, Now, you cannot separate healing from the conditions that a person is living in. So it's in your best interest to have a really good financial standing to be able to have better living conditions so that you can also heal. Now, the body is never failing because it's always fighting for you. But if you're carrying the pressure of finances for too long, even the body's not going to be able, it has a limit. So please take that first step now. And know that financial recovery is not just about money. It's about capacity. It's about dignity. This is why Mika is like able to help you. It's about options, which she outlined so many of that many of us are unaware of, and for you to just get relief. So on that closing note, Mika, please indulge me in a rapid fire round, which I do with most of my guests. And I'm going to ask you a question. Please just give one word answers or whatever answer suits best and whatever answer is most appropriate. Number one, credit is,
Wealth,
money is,
opportunities,
debt is,
debt is, debt is survival.
survival. That's so true.
Hmm.
Stress is,
Killer.
yes, uh,
Mm.
almost. Fear is,
I want to go back to that. Stress is a hitman. I love it. Can I change an answer? Can I be the first guest to like change an
absolutely.
answer? Okay,
Stress
so
is the hitman.
hitman.
And fear is,
Fear is there's two answers that comes to mind with
please give us
fear.
both.
Um, fear is closed. It's closed.
Security is,
Security is mm, ease.
ease. So true. Discipline is,
Our actions.
freedom is,
Mm, freedom is happiness.
that's right. Health is,
Ooh, I already said credit is wealth. So health is abundance.
so true. True abundance. And lastly, power is,
Mm, power. This is a very good one. It's good because we always think power is loud and just vocal and strength and rah rah rah. We sometimes we associate power with that. Um, but power for me is so much. Power is control.
absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That was actually very telling. Look at how much is available to us in life, especially through the lens of finances and money. Everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining us and for being here for this episode of Health Confidential. I know that a lot of people don't make the connection between money, finances, and health, but there is such a huge connection, and I am the absolute walking aspect of that because of what I had to go through. So if this conversation shifted the way that you think about stress, health, money, or the hidden burden that so many people are carrying but don't want to admit even to themselves, please subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming next. Please reach out to Mika so that you can start taking ownership, or at least take the first step in taking ownership of your finances, getting yourself back online so that you can actually really leverage the power that this is going to offer you. And if you found this episode valuable, I would love for you to share it, to leave a review, send it to someone who may really need this conversation right now. Of course, we can always use good information about money. And thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next episode of Health Confidential. And please take the first step. Work with Mika. Mika, thank you so much for joining me again. We will have you back so that we could talk about other aspects of what we can do. Perhaps maybe we could just talk about credit cards in particular next time, or loans or mortgages, so that we could actually identify some of the things that people are facing right now. See you next time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Simone.
Thank you so much for joining me on Health Confidential, where healing is more than just symptom relief. It's a return to the body's original blueprint, guided by truth, intuition, and cellular intelligence. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And follow me on Instagram at simone.gisondi for daily insights, behind the scenes wisdom, and holistic inspiration. To explore working with me and to get your own custom-made healing protocol, visit simonegisondi.com and book your private consultation to start working together. Remember, your body is sacred, your intuition is gold, and healing is your birthright. I'm Simone Gisondi, and this has been Health Confidential. See you in the next episode.